Morning. We are live. I love it. Around the world. This is TMS Roundtable. My name is Dr. Tova Goldfine. Rose is on vacation. It's summer in Australia. It's winter in America. It's winter and rainy in Israel. And I'm here at a little different time because I wanted to open up the show to Australia and New Zealand time because our guest tonight is Tenille King, and she's from Queensland?
Yes.
I love it, Queensland. And Tenille, I'm just one blessed soul to be on the other end of these amazing relationships where I meet these people like you. And Tenille, you inspire me, and tonight we're going to inspire some others. We're going to inspire. And I just want to say that, it's not like you're a special person. You're special, but we're all going through this. So I say that to me, like we're all going through this together or alone, but none of us are going through anything so drastically different. That's what I want to say. Like I keep saying, we're not Dalai Lamas on the mountain. We're just regular people living our life. So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to take a breath and I'm just going to welcome you. And so I'd love you to share a little bit about your story.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Tova. Thanks for that nice intro. So true. Tenille, 29 from the Gold Coast, Australia, Queensland. Yeah. I don't know what you want to know about me, but I don't know.
Okay, I'll keep asking, but right now I'd love you to share with the listeners, first of all, the first time you were ever in pain, like how old were you and what happened?
Yeah. It was probably around about 21. Towards
So before age 21, you had like a normal active life. You're with your parents, you're with your brother, you're in school. Nothing unusual, stomach aches, headaches, ear infections.
Yeah, pretty normal. But when I reflect back, I realize, there actually was a few things, like, things that I thought were just normal. But now looking back, I'm like, that could totally be anxiety and things related to this, the mind. And things like growing pains a lot as a kid, really excruciating growing pains. And just sort of anxiety, I know a lot as a kid. And I would get like injuries because I played a lot of sport, and I remember having a few random ones like shin splints that I thought that type of thing that would just come and go, or like little things that didn't really, at that age you just sort of think,
would your mother make a big deal? Would your dad get upset? Like what would happen when you would be like injuring yourself in school? Would anyone, would you get attention? Was there anything around that happened?
No, not really. Everyone was pretty blasé about it. But, even things like growing pains, I remember reading recently, it's not even an actual diagnosis. Sometimes doctors just say it because they want to give parents some sort of answer as to why their kid's in pain so that they don't freak out. And, there's all these common misconceptions like that I'm realizing now. But the main pain hit around 21 when I was finishing university.
Right. So you graduated high school, you went to university, you became a math teacher, you became a physical ed teacher, right?
Yeah, I did exercise science as my undergraduate. I was going to go into physiotherapy. I did all the subjects for physiotherapy for 3 years, and I was looking to go into that. And then I was also a surf teacher at the time, and I loved working with kids and teaching them. So I thought actually maybe I'd prefer doing teaching. And so, I went into teaching, and then I could teach science, maths, health and physical education, and biology.
So you're in university. So it's high school to university, you're okay. You're in university. What happens?
Yeah, I'm playing soccer and I'm starting to get just different aches and pains playing soccer, and I'm sort of thinking, it's just normal, getting old at 21.
I want to X that out of the show.
I know, I was just joking. Not really, but at that age you just think, far out, what's going on here? I thought I was a bit young, but I thought, maybe this is it. And I had these really weird pains that I'd get when I was playing soccer, and I just thought, or maybe my tape's too tight or something's going on there. But I just kind of ignored it, even though it was really excruciating. And it would kind of come and go. So it was mostly just ignored. But then the pain got stronger and stronger, and then like to the point where I really couldn't ignore it anymore.
Okay. So you're in uni. What do you do? I like blow by blow detail. What do you do?
Yeah. So I pretty much graduate and I head over to America to work in a summer camp as a
Okay, so you
lifeguard.
went 4 years of uni in kind of like off and on pain.
Yeah, dribs and drabs of pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Did you see a doctor? Did you see a doctor? Anything like that?
I started to see I saw lots of physios over the years and that just for treating injuries, but I actually did start to see a chiro because my back was getting like quite stiff and a bit sore. And one day I was out on my surf club board and I felt something really twinge in my back. And so I thought maybe I'd done something there, but it was it just came on really strong, but it didn't seem to be a big thing. But I went to America to work in a summer camp, have a bit of a gap year after university, and then the pain just got worse and worse, like the back pain and the leg, and then I started getting this leg pain, and then by the end of my trip, after a few months of being there and coming home, it was just really bad. Like I was sitting on the pain.
Okay, so here we are. We're in your gap year after university. You graduated. You have a degree. Was there anything emotional? Anything really serious? Not serious? Boyfriends? This or that? You know, anything really that you can think of that was going on under the surface back then? Like, just are you thinking now? You know, but were you thinking anything back then that was going on?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, and I'm trying to figure out if there was anything really substantial. And just to most people, you wouldn't think there was anything really substantial, but like probably underlying little things that aren't necessarily so little, but mainstream might view as little, but just probably family dynamics and like pressures of having to get a job, and then maybe guilt around me having a gap year for myself, that could totally be part of it.
Was there some resistance to you leaving Australia and coming to America? Was there some not?
Well, no, like I'd worked so hard my whole life, a high achiever, like a lot of people who have pain and physical symptoms. And I think this was the first time I'd really allowed myself to have like a break and to just do what I wanted to do and have fun. And I wouldn't be surprised if, that's the link there and that's the underlying thing.
Yeah, I mean, there you were like, I deserve this, I'm going, but your unconscious is like, you're being careless and you're not taking care. You need to be like, there's this conflict beginning and you're taking care of yourself, but you're not connected to the inner critic. So go ahead. So you come back from America and you got some significant pain. Is that correct?
Yeah, really bad back pain and leg pain. Walking down the street of Vegas and just like wanting to cry because I was in so much pain.
22, 23. Right now.
Like around that 20, early 20s actually, because I had surgery at 21, I think. It was about 2014 this was all going down.
Okay, so wait a minute. You had surgery in Australia before you went to America?
No, when I got back. Because I saw a doctor when I got back and because about the pain, and he looked at my x-rays and just said, you've got like an abnormal looking spine and we'll send you to a surgeon. And I rang to see the surgeon and it said, he's got like a year wait to get in to see him. And I was like, a lot of people need back surgery, obviously. So I said, what am I meant to do in the meantime? And they said, you can go to the physio, like next door. That's what it was called. And I talked to the physio there and worked with them for like a year. I'd already been doing a lot of physio. And they said, we started this physio practice because people were like, I think someone literally jumped off the building one day because, the back pain was so painful. Like, back pain's one of the worst pains I feel like there is. And so they said we needed to have something linked to the surgery to help people.
Like while they're waiting for surgery, we need to
waiting for to see the surgeon to get into maybe surgery so he can do extra tests and all that.
Okay, so go ahead. So you waited a year, and you were sure surgery. You were convinced and told surgery was going to get you out of pain.
No, I didn't know what he would offer on the table. Yeah, it was about a year, and like I lay on the floor a lot during that year and was still trying to teach, but it got to the point where that was pretty hard. But no, I saw so many people, and I was still hoping physio would work. But after a year, it was just getting, even of physio, it was still getting worse, and I was like, I don't know what's going to happen here. But I saw a neurologist the day before the surgeon, and she said to me, "You've got the back of a 40-year-old, like, you really need to take it easy," and basically saying I could kiss away my career as a HPE, or a health and physical education teacher, and that I needed to just lie down and just take it easy in my bed for the rest of my life. And I walked out of there like almost like believing her and being like, holy crap, what? Like, and then I saw the surgeon the next day, and he was quite charismatic, and she was very cold. And he said, he said, yeah, we'll have a look into this, and did some extra tests, and he's like, yeah, you've got a ruptured disc here, like we'll do this, and this, and you'll be good as gold in 6 months. And so he was like, you'll get back to sport, you'll do everything you ever wanted to do again. And so when he was telling me this, especially after her, I was like, yeah, I want to go with him. Like, that sounds way better.
Okay. So you went into surgery feeling very positive.
Nervous as hell because, everyone tells you, I was on this table for a discogram before surgery, and even the doctor there was like, oh, you're a bit young for back surgery. Like, and you look at all the reviews that, especially back in the day, where they're like, it's not too good, this back surgery stuff. And so I was still very nervous, but I thought, his charisma sort of carried me, and thought, okay, well, it's better than nothing, because at this stage, I was in so much pain, and I was like, I just want out, like,
right.
ASAP.
Wow. So you had the surgery, and then what?
Yeah, so obviously surgery is very traumatic, like especially back surgery. They go through the front, and like they pulled out some stuff and whacked in like an artificial disc and fused the bottom one. And so, yeah, that takes a while. That's really bloody painful. And that took a while to heal and get better. For 6 months, it was still pretty excruciating. It did start to get better over time, just the natural healing process of all the wounds healing up. But I'd also hurt my neck around the same time. And
how'd you hurt your neck?
Oh, I was out surfing, and a wave caught me off guard. Because they said you can stay as active as you want before surgery, like that's probably going to help you, or like that's going to help you. And I said, can I still surf? And he's like, yeah, go for it, because it was like one thing that I loved so much, and I was just so sad to lose everything, but he let me keep that type of thing, and I got to stay pretty active.
You hurt your neck. Yeah.
Okay. So I hurt my neck, and so that became so painful. And so, yeah, I had this excruciating neck and head pain and back pain and leg pain leading up to the back surgery. And, yeah, I remember, like, I would just go lie in Tallabudgera Creek in the middle of winter where it was just ice water, because it was so painful. And that was the only thing that kind of helps to numb the pain, like, a little bit. So, it was just all over body, so much pain.
At this point, you're still thinking it's physical pain, and you're dealing with it physically. And at what point, so here you are about 24, 23, 24, and at what point, now you're 29, correct?
Yeah.
At what point did you shift over to think that this is not normal to have this kind of pain? At what point, and who influenced you? Who told you about, this work? Like, how did that happen?
Well, I thought it was so weird because, like, with my neck pain, the physio said, your whole system's just really sensitive at the moment. So once you have the back surgery, it should all calm down. He's like, it's like a wound, that's on the surface, like if you didn't have that wound, it wouldn't all be so sensitive. And so I thought it would really calm down after back surgery. And I just found it so weird that, my back pain started to calm down and my leg pain. They said the leg pain was linked to the back pain, and I believed that. And that slowly, they said that would get better because nerves regenerate over time, and that kind of started to happen. But I did find it weird that, yeah, as my back was getting better, like my neck pain disappeared for a while, and then as my back was getting better, it came back, and it was sort of like, yeah, back pain going down, but then like, oh, here comes the neck pain, and it was just interesting that I was like, what the hell? You know, I just found that so weird. So that started me questioning a lot of things a lot more too about it, and I saw lots of other people after physios and things like that, and then finally a physio told me, he said, like, which we'd sort of had suspicion over, like I knew there was a mind element and that it was a learnt response, but I didn't know fully the details of it that much. It was becoming more and more apparent as I went through. But a physio said to me, he said, yeah, I think it's actually anxiety that's causing your pain. And I had so many other people I visited that gave different diagnoses, and then that made me even more curious and confused. But yeah, like it's just started to open the doorway more and more to my mind, these different professionals. But like my psychiatrist said, oh no, someone told me it was fibromyalgia, and my psychiatrist said he didn't believe in fibromyalgia. And then a doctor said it was anxiety, and then another doctor said they don't believe anxiety causes physical symptoms. So I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I think I'm just going to look into this a bit myself, because I don't think these people really know what's going on. And so, yeah, I started doing my own research into it, and then came across like Dr. Howard Schubner, and then he was the first person that really started making sense to me in my mind.
Yeah. So do you think that when you started reading that there was like a calmness, like even though the pain was there was a sense of everything's going to be okay?
Yeah, I thought finally, like someone who understands, like something that's finally making sense. I could see myself on like every page of his books, and
The book was written for you.
yeah, and it just made perfect sense. And I was like, finally, like someone's speaking sense to me.
Yeah. So then let's go to the timeline. What happened? So you're living in pain. You get a job. You're teaching school, and you're still having daily pain. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. And I come across, it's interesting because then I come across lots of different authors during that time, not just Dr. Howard Schubner, but like Dr. Sarno, who has amazing work along the similar lines as Dr. Howard Schubner. But I'm also reading books like Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now, and that was one of my first books I picked up. And yeah, that was one of the first ones too that I sort of thought, oh, whoa, there's more going on here. And then Dr. Joe Dispenza.
He calls it like, Tolle calls it like there's a pain body, like there's the pain and you're not your pain.
Yeah.
The first time I ever heard like, this is your pain and this is you, and you're not your pain, and you get to separate it. Because when we begin to like take it on and let it move in, we feel like we're one with it, and we're not, because this is your pain and this is you.
Yeah.
So this is very smart that you were able to do that. So you got into that, and then you read Joe Dispenza, which is talking about just that it's all just energy, and you're resonating worry energy, and so worry energy is seeping in through your ears.
Yeah. I love how he combines like science, which I'm such a science mind too, and a factual person too, but with like, yeah, energy, and then there's the spiritual dimension too. So it's interesting how it can be tied in, and all those aspects too, which I like that. Yeah, Dr. Joe is amazing.
Okay, and then what happened? And then you fell into Rose, thank God. And so before you met Rose, were you thinking about your feelings? Were you thinking about feelings having anything to do with it? Means one thing is anxiety, but anxiety has nothing to do with feelings. So when did the feeling part appear?
Yeah, it was through reading Dr. Howard Schubner's books and realizing, feelings are a big part of what he talks about. And it was the first time I'd really kind of thought about that, and yeah, just read into it, and like the science behind it too, and how your emotions are linked to your fight or flight response, and how that like has its hands in so many different physical areas of the body, which causes the physical things. And then I really started to see, the scientific correlation between emotions causing physical symptoms. And I realized, wow, emotions are really a big part of it, right at the heart of it. And I didn't think, I thought I was in touch with my emotions, but it turns out I really wasn't. Like, I was in touch with my anxiety, but not so much some of the core emotions around pain and that sort of thing. So, and I I thought I could unleash these emotions because in Dr. Howard Schubner's books and online courses, he talks about journaling and that sort of thing. So I thought, right, I would journal to my heart's content, like crying, thinking I was feeling all these things. And then it wasn't until I saw Rose and I said, I don't get it, like my psychotherapist. And I said, I don't get it. I've been working so hard on expressing these emotions, expressing whatever's in my subconscious to let it out, and I'm not getting anywhere. And she said, yeah, Tenille, there's like a difference between writing like about anger and actually feeling it in your body. And like, you can write in your conscious brain till the cows come home, but if you can't actually feel what's deep down in your subconscious, that's not really going to do that much for you, like, because you're only 5% your conscious brain, like 95% of who you are is your subconscious, and that sort of thing. So
such a powerful statistic, the 95%. And so I want to mention something about that because I lost my train of thought, but the subconscious is the body. And this is also, hasn't been proven completely, but and the subconscious is where is being perceived by the brain. Well, I'm not going to get into that right now, but the point I'm saying is that you began to realize that you were, that's what I want to say. When we had Nicole Sachs on the show, she talked about, I said, because, journaling doesn't work for a lot of people. And she goes, because they're lying to themselves. She goes, you have to really be honest. And, and Dave Hanscom, who's been just a dear colleague, and, we've been in touch with him a lot. He just thinks that expressive writing is it. And so it's a very personal thing. Not everybody's going to respond, but all these things can work when you apply them to your life. And this is what you're saying. I was doing it, but then I began to apply it and implement it and play out the role, like be in my feelings and not just watch my feelings. Then you started to see some result. So tell us more about, okay, you're writing about your anger, but now you're feeling your anger. Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, I can. And well, yes, I think journaling still is so powerful. Just for me, it wasn't. I don't think it's not everything. Like, it's so many tools you can use, and it's just one of those things. But yeah, like I was sort of saying recently, like, it's interesting how childhood impacts, pain, and that's a very interesting topic. And reading Dr. Howard Schubner's books was the first time I started realizing, oh, wow, childhood does play a big part in that. And to the outside world, it looks like I had a really good, perfect childhood. And like, yeah, there were great elements, but no one's had the perfect childhood. And I started to debunk some of that and realize some of this and realize the family dynamics. And, in my family, I love my parents so much, and there's so many qualities I love about them and take on board, but they're not perfect. Their parents weren't perfect. They don't have all the answers or all the best traits all the time. But yeah, my mum, like, sort of been quite anxious at times and protective, and my dad being sometimes like quite critical and quick to anger. That sets up an interesting dynamic from childhood for me and my brother. It's just me and my brother. But it kind of shuts down those feelings as a kid, and you don't really learn to express yourself or feel what you need to feel from a young age because of that sort of environment. So where I'm going with this story, basically.
I want to interrupt because Rose would say at a certain young age, we all had to choose whether to be attached or to be authentic. and we gave
Mm-hmm.
up our authenticity to enable to get love. And there
Mm-hmm.
are some homes, some people, they didn't have to. They weren't put up against the wall to choose because they had different dynamics, as you say. So it was it's very profound for you to realize that and do it in a loving, forgiving way. I mean, and yet, even Rose taught me you're allowed to be angry at your parents. You're allowed to be, they deserve what they deserve. Everyone's responsible. And yet, like, I don't think anyone's to blame, but people are responsible. So you had to choose, obviously, you had to give up your authenticity and just to be attached. So then, as you were saying,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that safety mechanism for your survival, really, through
mhm,
to like when you can leave the nest.
mhm,
But yeah, so basically, anger is probably one of my big ones that I struggle with, and it's really key to pain. And it sounds a bit absurd that that would be one of a key link, but it really is. And I felt that and witnessed that firsthand the other day. Basically, I was telling you a little bit about this story, but my dad's like sort of dominated, like, domineering figure in this family. So my mum's sort of quieter, and so I've taken on my mum's role in that aspect of when I get told things, I just sort of go quiet, and then that forms the basis of a lot of different relationships in my life, because your parents and your interactions with them do form a lot of your relationships with everyone in your life. But yeah, Dad was just said something that was quite critical of me, and so I just, like Rosa sort of taught me to find the words to stand up for myself, not in like a nasty way, but just in a loving, like curious, draw them in, like pointing out the truth kind of way. And yeah, I did that, and my pain just disappeared for like half an hour. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but I know that that was a really big step.
unbelievable. So you like uncorked something, and there was like this release of energy,
Mm.
and then and let's talk about now. So the cork's back on, and you have pain.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this is what I wanted to really address, this is the power of your story, and this is the power of what you're doing. You're helping others, you have a YouTube, you take time to talk to people.
Mm.
And, but I'd like you to share and really talk about, because this is where people are like, well, I'll live my life when I'm out of pain. And you made a decision at some point, I'd like to be out of pain. I don't like pain, but I'm going to live my life. And the pain is still here, and it's 29, you're 29 years old. So now we're
Mm.
talking 8 years of pain, and you're living life to the fullest. You're doing everything you want to do. It's not stopping you, and you're still in pain. And when you speak to me about that, I'm like in awe of how strong you are. And you're like, Doc, I'm not strong. I'm in pain. I'm like, no. And as I said, you're strong enough to make the pain, you're strong enough to get rid of the pain. And you know that. And I'd love you to share with the audience how you talk to yourself and how you soothe yourself and how you have compassion for yourself and how you
Yeah.
accept that the pain doesn't have to go away for you to still be loving. Like the pain is there. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the key parts to this was when I started to see a psychologist, and he showed me this diagram, like a scientific diagram showing me how avoidance just feeds pain. And I'd never really realized that before. And so
Say that
at this
again. Avoidance feeds pain.
pain. Yeah. And at this point, I'd kind of like, yeah, started avoiding a lot of things because of the pain. Like I'd sort of stopped exercising because I was in so much pain. And even like I'd stopped teaching because the pain was so bad. And I'd stopped
Wow.
to socialize as much. I'd stopped doing a lot of things. And then, yeah, when he told me that, I thought, wow, like I need to actually do those things if I'm going to get out of this thing. And so I thought, right, I made a really intentional setting to try not to let the pain stop me from doing what I wanted to do. And that was my motto. And so I started planning my weeks as if I didn't have pain so much, and like putting in social things, like getting back to teaching, getting back to moving my body, and then sport and things like that. And it was a slow progression. Like I was scared to walk down the stairs. I became so anxious, like scared to go in the water and the waves, like in case it flipped me over. Like my anxiety had really run
Right.
full ragged on me. Like I was so scared.
Right. So I just want to put up some of the comments, and then I want you to continue because you're still living with pain at 29, doing everything you want to do. And I want you to talk about your fear of the pain, which you don't have anymore, which is a big thing. So just Cheryl, who's also been on our show, is going to be helping us with the Presence Process book group. It's like you read these books and something intuitively awakens in us, because we were talking about the books. It's almost dormant, and these words just speak to us. What we are seeking is seeking us. It's amazing. Yeah. And Cheryl, like I say, Cheryl's had every itis in the book, and she's able to live her life now. And look, a lot of people, their pain goes away. And I know Lori has been through some difficult times with health anxieties, and she wrote that avoidance feeds pain, and it's true. It almost sounds like, well, I need to avoid the pain, but it's like this, it's like enormous amount of paradoxes that are happening here, in this chapter of, mind, body, pain. So I'd love you to share with the audience about your fear of the pain and how you live every day fearless, loving the pain and finding the message in it, which is actually leaving me speechless, believe it or not. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting, like you say, that conflict or paradox, because we live in a medical system that is very conservative and instills fear and anxiety, in us. So it's very natural, and we really believe everything the doctors say around everything, and we think if there's pain, there must be something physically wrong. Like, it's just not even in our minds that there could be something not even physically wrong. No one's really teaches that. And so that's so normal. And it took me so long to realize, my physical pain, there's nothing physically wrong. And that was so hard to get through my head. And it's still hard because the pain feels so real. Like, it mimics injuries. It mimics like whatever it wants to create. And it's real. And you feel it. And the tests show it. Some of the stuff, like inflammation, whatever it is. And it's like really hard to get your mind wrapped around that and figure it out. I forget where I was going with that thought of train. That happens to me a bit. But breaking through the fear, yeah, that's right. I think it's like small steps. And one of the things that got me starting more and more on that journey was my mum we were reading and like about different pain things, when I was really struggling and not sure of what was going on. And we came across this guy, you've probably heard of him, called Dr. Lorimer Mosley, who's Australian and like has a really cool story around pain, and like cool guy. And he's got his own practices and helps a lot of people in pain and things like that. And my mum got in contact with him, as mums do, to try to help. And he said, look, I'm really busy at the moment, but I can get you in contact with one of my physios who can work with you and hopefully help you. And so, I was Skyping him in Adelaide, I think it was. And he said, he looked at all my tests. He looked at everything because I was still in lots of back pain would come back and all sorts of things. And I was still really scared. And he was like, Tenille, like, you're safe to move. Like, I know you think you've got all these things wrong, but it's so normal, all these so-called abnormalities you think you have because of the tests, etc. But he's like, trust me, like, you're fine. Like, you're fine to move. You're safe. And they prescribe exercise as a treatment for getting out of chronic pain. And I'd been looking into that for a while and thought, okay, yeah, this sounds legit, and like the science behind it. And so he put me on an exercise regime, gradual increase, like gym programs. Like he said, do everything. He's like, yeah, get out there, run, like surf, like do everything. And he had me doing deadlifts. Like, I'd never done deadlifts in my life. And I had a back surgery, and he's like, right, we're going to start you on 30 kilograms and increase it by 10 kilograms every week. And I was doing like chin-ups, and I was like, oh crap, like, I can do this. My back's really strong. I'm actually really strong. And I was running like half an hour, like just off the bat. And I was like, oh, wow, I can do this. And then it just kind of went from there. Like I started getting like more and more fearless in my body and more confident in it. And then I decided to take up sport again. And then even though that was so scary too, but like that, you know, every time you push a little bit more, even if it's baby steps, like just going for a walk or something little, you just kind of push that comfort zone bit by bit. And then you look back and you're playing AFL and you're rock and you're like jumping for people and falling over and you're fine.
You know, it's like, it's also the great distraction, you know, the great deception, the great distraction, because, you know, the more you focus on the pain, the more it'll be there. It's just, that's just science. And, you know, I mean, we can sit there and wait for the pain to go away, or we can walk it out the door and, you know, on a walk. You know, that's kind of what you've been doing. So talk to us more about, you know, that you don't get a whole lot of relief, that the pain, maybe the quality and quantity changes. And there's things you do, like you were taking a bath and you take a shower and you put ice on and you stretch and all. And, you know, what do you think the pain is? What's the message that the pain is giving you that's keeping you loving and appreciating yourself and on your journey?
Yeah, definitely. Well, originally I had so many ideas around this, theories in my mind, and like reading different things. And I was like, I kind of came to the conclusion, like maybe it's a distraction, like everything's trying to distract me from my emotions. And then I thought, yeah, that's all right. But then I realized, no, wait, like, and kind of reading different things, it's actually an alarm bell, an alarm system where your body's trying to communicate with you because it can't use words. So it's using its physical body by bringing out different things to say, look, something's out of balance, something's not in alignment, something's bothering you, your energy's not right. Like we want you to, you know, be happy, like have love, like flourish in this lifetime, but with the mindsets that are holding you back, and like whatever it is holding you back, like you can't achieve that yet. So we're going to put the pain on you to strip away some layers until like you're, you know, bare and your heart's bare and like it's created something great in your life.
So continue on, because you've got the monkey brain answers. So why are you still in pain?
Yeah, the monkey brain's awesome. Just wants to take you on tangents all the time into all the storylines of how bad things are. Yeah, well, it's interesting because there's so many avenues I can go down with this, but it is hard, you know, especially when you're anxious. People can tell you all this stuff, you know, the biggest experts in the world can tell you this stuff, and professionals, and there's still going to be a seed of doubt because that's just human nature, and that's anxiety especially. And so it's like recognizing that, being aware of that, and then like learning ways to be more mindful, to bring your attention back here, because that's a way of helping with anxiety.
You're accepting 100%, as much as you can, that this is normal and you have anxiety, and it's reflecting itself in your body. It's in your back where there has been some drama around your back. Okay. And so you're accepting almost like unconditionally that the pain is still there and it will go away. You have complete hope. Where's this hope coming from?
Yeah, it's hard because for ages I didn't know if I had it in me to like hang on to something like that. And yeah, for ages I was like wanting a timeline of like, I need to be better by this date, and like, you know, just really like just obsessed with getting better, and like not, thinking I couldn't live life until I was better or be happy until I was better, and there's nothing to learn, and like just this mindset. And then I think it took, like, the pain really ramped up, especially about 4 months ago when I decided to take some time off teaching and go traveling, which is interesting. Have a bit of joy and love in my life. And
there that goes again. There it goes.
Yeah, it's a quest of freedom. And yeah, the pain has become so horrific, like to the point where I feel like, you know, I want to vomit every day. Like I feel so sick, and the pain's like 5 to 10 out of 10 pain, just excruciating. And I got to the point where I was like, far out, like I just have to surrender this thing. Hey, like I can't actually, and I'd kind of surrendered it like a bit in different ways through spirituality, and Christianity was my background. And found different ways of spirituality since then, which has really helped with that surrender and and not saying I'm not accountable or responsible for helping myself heal, but just saying like, right, I don't think it's random. Like, you're pushing me towards something good, surely. Like, I just have to believe that. And so I just had to fully give it up and be like, right, it's your timeline, whatever you want to do, like, do it. Make something good of it, and like, let's tell a good story, and here we go. But it's so hard, and every day it's like a fight, because it's like, I just got to keep letting go, surrendering, trusting, going with the flow, like all those things. But and such beauty in surrender too, like, and yeah, it's not giving up. It's just being like, well, I'll get better when I get better, and let's see where this takes us. And like the other day I was telling you how I had the worst pain in the middle of the night. Like, it woke me up at 2 a.m. and it was so bad. I was like, holy, like, I've had really bad pain in the middle of the night and not been able to sleep, but this was next level. And like, I could attribute it to some different things that happened that day in the end, and figured that out, and that calmed it down. But I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to go crazy. And so I hopped in the shower and the bath and just went hot, cold, like really hot, really cold, like ice cold, like sitting in a bath. And just like, I was like, right, I'm just going to lean into it. I'm just going to breathe into it, like the pain, and just not give it the thoughts around it, like that mind gap that Eckhart Tolle talks about. I love that. And
Tell us about that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's like in Eckhart Tolle, he talks about, between thoughts, there's like a gap, and you can actually lean into that and create a gap in your mind, like through mindfulness and meditation. And that's like kind of which a really nice place to sit and be, because you're not like being swayed by your mind everywhere. And
that's the being part of the
yeah,
doing.
that's who you are. Like, your love and your presence, and that is love, and they're all intertwined in your truth. And like, that's a beautiful place to be. So I try to get back there, and it's a constant meditation journey throughout my day to get back there. But that really helps.
Making a choice. You're now getting that second between your thought and maybe your action or your response, and you're deciding, here is a place that I can just be, and here's a place where I can almost be out of pain, or just not even think about the pain, and I can create, resources to manage when I'm feeling anxious and I have the pain. So talk about that a little bit, because that's a key.
Yeah.
That's the key. So you stay in this sort of response mode and your body calms down.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, like when, that's what you're trying to do, create calm in your system, because your system's fired up for whatever reason. Like, maybe you've had trauma, maybe there's different dynamics or stresses. It's usually like different stresses that trigger the whole storm in your body and whatever it is. But yeah, if you can create that calm in your mind and in your body, like, you're well on the track to healing. And it's hard to do.
It does become a habit. It becomes something that it becomes your default. Okay, I'll go to that place. I'm going to lower my expectations. It's not like black or white, no pain. It's simply a place where I can trust.
Yeah, that's right.
And it becomes automatic. So you go through a day in pain, but you have this automatic, flick of the light that you're able to function normally. And do you find you're sometimes distracted, not even thinking about the pain?
Yeah, like, often I do forget about it, and it's just not really in the forefront of my mind so much anymore. It used to be here all the time. It was so hard to get out. But yeah, the present moment and the meditation and mindfulness helps you step back a bit. And yeah, it's been really helpful in my life. Like, I realized that I needed to be more in the present moment. I couldn't live so much in the past or the future, because that was kind of hell in my mind a lot. And, your mind goes there all the time, but it's like just bringing it back,
Right.
to here, and knowing that, well, that's not you, and your anxious thought tries to create separation and disharmony, but that's not you. So like, coming back to like, here is who you are, and that's where I know I need to be, like, a lot more, and I try to be, and that helps me a lot. And yes, the meditation, and I'm resting a lot at the moment, and like, because I know, like, even giving yourself that opportunity to rest is so hard. And like, it's that healing journey when your body's really going through it, like mine is at the moment. Like, it really needs a bit of rest and TLC. And I used to feel so guilty doing that, you know, like a lot of people with pain feel a lot of guilt, probably from family upbringing, all sorts of things, society, conditioning. And it's so hard to just, yeah, relax and sit there. And I remember telling Rose one day, oh, I just went to the beach, sat in my van for hours, looked at the ocean, and didn't even go surfing, like just went for a walk. And I kind of felt a bit ashamed of myself that day. And she's like, oh, so you just like took care of yourself? And I was like, yeah, I guess that's what I was doing.
What about that? Yeah. What about that self-love stuff? What about that?
Yeah. Or like the other day, I sat in my hammock and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to lie here for like 4 hours. I think it's one of those kinds of days. Hey, like my body was just feeling real tired that day. And I was like, right, cool. Like, bring on the self-love. And like, that's so part of the healing journey. And it comes through sitting with your emotions and like meditation. And that's the ultimate form of self-love, which is so hard to do, sitting through sadness, sitting through grief, just not pain at the anxiety mind, and being really present, like the mind gap with it, feeling it in your body, and just being
out with your grief and your fear. Yeah. You have a tea party with it.
Yeah, I go, oh, I feel shit right now. Like, awesome. Like, let's sit in this. Like, it's not awesome. It sucks, but it's just like, you know, it's better than feeling nothing. And I'm like, sometimes I didn't even feel sadness. So now when I feel sad, I'm like, oh, good, we're getting somewhere. Like, I'm finally feeling this stuff that I'm meant to feel. And, you know, I've just been distracting myself for a long time from it.
Pretty, you know, blonde your whole life. You're going to have to break down and cry. I mean, you know, think about that. You know, you're athletic and you're smart and you're a natural blonde. And, you know, there's all this stuff going on also around being a woman, which, you know, we haven't even really talked about. But I did want you to talk a little bit more also about, because you mentioned that you are doing a sport that women were allowed to do. Talk about that, because I mean, you're very brave, and it doesn't mean we all have to do that. I'm not into extreme sports, you know, but you are doing what you want to do. And I know, you know, Cheryl, she wanted to water ski on one leg. I'm like, okay, you know, and you know, and Lori's here, and she like plays guitar and sings in front of like an audience. I'm like, okay, if that's not brave, then what is? I mean, you see, like it's fascinating. So talk a little bit more about this football thing, because it's an analogy of the decisions you make and the choices you have. And then you go and you lie on a hammock. So you got nice balance in your life.
Yeah, that's it. It's all about balance. And yeah, and the season's about to start up again. And AFL, Australian Football Rules. It's a fun game, but yeah, it was a male-dominated sport for so long. Like, you got to the age of 11 or 12 or something, when hormones kick in, and they wouldn't let females continue. Girls continue to play. Like, well, I don't know, like they wouldn't let them continue to play with the boys, but you know, I'm pretty sure like they just didn't play. Like, it wasn't a thing. There wasn't a league for it. Like, and it's only in the last sort of 5 or so years that it's really like, girls are being like, oh, we want to play this, like, and like the professional leagues have kicked in, and like girls are getting paid for it now, and it's becoming like the most popular sport in Australia, like that and rugby league, which is really interesting because I'm a health and physical education teacher, so I know what the young girls are more into these days. And it's those really like physical games, and AFL is probably one of the most brutal sports. Like, I almost see why they didn't want ladies to play the game, because it's brutal. Like, you get smashed hardcore.
You're smiling a lot talking about brutal.
Must be a sucker for pain or something. But yeah, my friends say when I get thrown to the ground, like literally up off the ground and like body weight thrown to the ground, like I kind of get up and smile, and they're like, it's a bit frightening. Or like, I don't know, like I should be scared, but I am scared, but it's fun. And yeah, you get to run and kick and tackle and jump, and I'm playing ruck, which is like at the start of every game and throughout, you have to leap at your opponent and like physically, like they throw a knee right towards you and you run and jump towards each other with a knee out in front. And so it's like gladiator games, and
Oh
it's
my God. See,
fun.
that could kind of be like, I just think it's it's brave, and it's also, you enjoy it, and you developed a kind of fearlessness and trust in your body.
Mm.
And that's the beauty of it. You have a trust that you're going to be okay.
And the fear's definitely like it's hard to go, and my pain's been so bad lately, but I was telling you, so is my anxiety and my fear, but it's gotten to the point where it's almost laughable, because I'll like, go to do something really simple and it'll feel like someone's about to die, and I'll be like, well, that's disproportionate, like that's not real. And so it's made me really realize and be interested in this idea of fear and anxiety, and like how most of the time it's one hell of an illusion, and like you can push through that step by step, and
You
it's
say
pretty
that again, and most of the time it is
an
one
illusion.
shell of an
Yeah.
illusion.
It's like false evidence appearing real is most of the fear, and you can walk through it and push that comfort zone, and it's really empowering when you start to do that. And yeah, it's still scary, like, because everything arcs up in the healing journey to make you think you're crazy, and there's still a chance, in footy you can get hurt, and like, but that's the risk you take when you do something you love. Like, just like anything in life, I could step out in front of a bus tomorrow, but like, that's life, and you just can't. I just don't want to live in fear forever, and that's not me, and anything can happen. But it's like, well, even if I break a bone or tear a tendon, which hopefully not, touch wood, that's pretty fixable. FEMA takes 6 weeks to heal at most. Everything.
Good for you, and you will heal. Your body's made to heal and made to love.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cheryl wants to award you the Cheryl LaRue Award. I love your courage. It's okay if you cry and feel the frustration with the process. It's part of trusting it. You're safe. The mind is safe. You are safe. The mind safe is the one who is dying, and there. I know what you're saying, Cheryl, and it's very, very true. And here's Lori, the guitarist. Stephen O. Zanuck says he believes everything's TMS till proven otherwise.
So true. Yeah.
Chronic pain and autoimmune disease is not normal. And the body heals over and over again. And incurable is a choice. I just plastered that statement on my website. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to stand behind this, and I'm going to take some crap for it. But I'm willing to say that and everyone has a choice. It doesn't mean you're a bad person if you don't choose that, but it just means you have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You have a choice. I mean, this guy, Viktor Frankl, was in the Holocaust, and he wrote a statement that said, between a thought and an action, like your thought, between the thought and my behavior, I have a choice. I have a moment to make a decision. And in that decision, he said, there's freedom. So between the thought of the fear and acting out the fear, which is not moving, I have a choice to make a decision whether I'm going to let that fear run me. And I know it's a lot of like, cerebral, talking, and it's people are like, yeah, doc. And I don't want to ever underestimate people's pain, but you're talking about how you're living with pain and kind of like putting your arm around it and say, all right, let's have this conversation on the hammock.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you do that every day?
Yeah, it's hard. And like, it wants to hold you back all the time and stop you from doing the things you love all the time. That's just, I've learned to realize what pain likes to do, and chronic illness, and, same umbrella for all the TMS. Like, this fella that was saying how, unless it's, it's basically all TMS, or like, mind, body. And I tell Rose, unless I fall off a 5-story building, or I'm in a hectic car crash, like I'm not really going to go to the doctors or the surgeon at this point because I probably don't have severe physical trauma going on. Like, it's so hard. Like, and I'd had to make that decision a while ago to just stop getting on that merry-go-round of tests and doctors and professionals because it was just doing my head in. And even if they find stuff, it's like, well, there's so many natural abnormalities and natural aging processes that go on in scans and tests anyway. And it's like, yeah, I just know that, you know, the mind is the biggest factor in how, in your health and your thoughts and your emotions. And that's way more than, you know, people can have the most abnormal looking spines. I was talking to physios. They said people come in the weirdest looking spines, like, and like they have no pain and they've been fine their whole life and they do everything normally. It's like, you know, it's the mind that creates this stuff. It's not whatever you've been, so much what you've been dealt physically, or like, you know, that's not the biggest factor here. And
you're also accepting, you're accepting your reality. You're not, I don't get a fight. I think there was a fight before. I don't get that you're fighting. I don't, you know, I wouldn't, like, surrender is a different word, but I'm calling a love affair. It's a love affair. It's a coming together. You know, it's like meeting yourself. And like you said to me earlier before the show, you keep learning about yourself. So, you know, a colleague of mine had cancer, and she goes, I miss my cancer because I'm not learning anything about myself. Now that's extreme, but that's the bottom line. So you have pain now, and talk more about how you see it going away, but you're still learning. So you're really empowering your pain to work for you, not against you. You chat about that for a few minutes?
Yeah, that's it. It's the learning that I find that gets me most pumped about, like, each day that I have to do this thing called pain, because I know there's so many lessons to come across each day and growth through people and situations and experiences. And even if it's something really little each day, like, you still, like, it's great. I find that so exciting. And yeah, the people you meet, you come across, like, you forge such strong connections with people. And yeah, the understanding about yourself and other people, it just gets so large. And I remember I wrote a poem. I love to write poetry, and I talked about how pain's almost like a bit of a superpower, because you suddenly, like, get less concerned with some of the bullshit going on out there, and you, like, you want to tap into, like, the deep and meaningful stuff more, and connections and that sort of stuff with people, and your empathy grows for yourself and for other people, and your understanding, your kindness and humbleness, and, like, heaps of good qualities kind of grow throughout the pain and the lessons, and yeah, just learning how to be a better person for everyone, but most importantly yourself. And that's just what I'm learning every day. And like, when I was saying that story of me being in the bathtub, like, with the hot cold and everything, I was like, this just can't be for nothing. Like, it just can't be. And I was like, it has to be doing something in my heart. Like, it's creating something in there. And I always think, you know, pressure makes diamonds. Like, it's creating some sort of amazing thing in my heart and my mind and my soul that's going to serve me and the world in a positive way. And, like, I hold on to that every day, like, sitting there meditating every morning, as hard as that is, I'm like, nah, this is doing things and it's good. And it's just so hard though, but you just know it, like, it has to be. Like, people tell you, you know, like, wow, like, people tell me, you're looking radiant, like, you wouldn't know you have pain, like, you're glowing, like, you know, all this, you know, people can see you changing, and, like, yeah, it feels like it. And through the pain, and I remember I used to go to church, and people would say, you know, it looks like you have torture. Or someone said to me, your face looked tortured. Like, and I think I was a tortured soul for ages, until I started, like, yeah, finding the mindfulness and meditation, and, like, being out in nature and just looking after myself bit by bit better. And yeah, ignoring, like, the criticism will come into your mind, and that's a huge part of pain. Like, just that criticism, that internal dialogue from probably a parent that was quite critical in your life, or, like, someone in your life. And that's been a huge thing too, just being aware of, oh, I'm being critical, which happens to be every 5 milliseconds for me. And yeah, it stops you from doing a lot of things. Like, you'll be sitting in the hammock and it will go, oh, like, you're a lazy thing. And you'll be like, I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, that's why so many people struggle to rest, because that criticism, that guilt, that like drive society, and it's like, oh yeah, nah, all good, and like I just get back to doing whatever I'm doing in the present moment, and but it will try to tear you all the time, and it's just, yeah, and that self belief comes more and more, and then it's almost like you feel like you can do anything out there, and it's a pretty cool feeling, bit by bit, and yeah.
Wow. So not only are you on the other side, but you have walked through the pain and found the monster under the bed and saw that it was just a little toy doggy, you know, and that, you really came to it and you're on your journey in the biggest way of being on a journey. And this morning I watched this movie. I was able to premiere it before, called Love Heals. And I'm hoping that all of our listeners will see it. It's an outstanding movie. And I mean, I sat there with like a pile of tissues, and because it was just a beautiful movie, and I felt so connected. And next week, the star of the movie and the director is going to be on our show. And then in the middle of the week, Dave Hanscom's coming, who was a doctor in the movie who helped. But the beauty of Dana, the star, is that she had 2 surgeries. Okay. And she's still in pain, but she's in this high place where you're at. And it's for everyone to be there. I mean, we all have painful lives and painful chapters and painful words and painful relationships and painful moments. And anyone could be like, I'm alive, I'm in pain, I'm alive. So I could just change the word. I mean, the word stress, like you said, the word diamonds, the word stress, it just means pressure. Who made stress negative? Who made the word pain a negative thing? So it's all about perception. And I'm just in awe of, meeting you and having you come here and talk about this and be on your journey. And I want to say to the audience that Tenille has a YouTube channel called Tenille Talks. That's your
Yes,
Facebook.
Tenille Talks Pain.
And you have a Facebook page, and you are available to talk to people, especially because you're on holiday. And after the show, I'm going to start to close in a few minutes. That you'll go to our page and answer any questions if there's any, or people can go to your page. Your Facebook page is Tenille. Is your Facebook page Tenille Talks too? Also,
it's all under Tenille Talks Pain, and yeah, it's Facebook. You can look it up, amazing. Or Instagram or YouTube.
Instagram also, great.
Yeah,
great. And there's something I wanted to say. Yeah, about Dana in the movie. I mean, all these people had to love themselves to say it, and they also had to do some screaming, like screaming out their, because how do you not wake up every day with a little bit more anger and fear, and it was pressure. Talk about pressure. It was like energy, and this is where the meditation comes, and this is where the writing comes, and this is where, go ahead and write that letter to your, your father or your mother or your old boyfriend, like get it out, move it through. So it's about movement. And in this movie, they did enormous amount of tapping and pressing and moving. And it's just what you're doing on a surfboard. It's just what I'm doing, on the ball here. And I just find there's nothing new that we're saying here. I want people to know there's nothing new each week that's coming out. It's beautiful and amazing to hear your experience, but it's the universal laws of nature, and like what Michael Galinsky will be like, well, you're just having a human experience and it'll end when you die, so at least, so you're living your life fully, completely at 29, and you've got a whole life ahead of you. And I'm just so proud to be on, part of your journey. And I always say, even when Rose is here, we're going to be here for a long time, till like Rose and I are 120, which is a long time because we're both middle-aged now. And I want you to come back and maybe talk again, and, send us some pictures of you on your surfboard and maybe you playing football, getting knocked down. I mean, like, we want to know the brave person in us because we're not, we all have that brave person. Anybody that shows up, like the way that you just show up, so I'm so happy that you found Rose, and so happy that you traveled to our place here on the show. I want to know if you had one thing you wanted to share with the listeners, if you wanted to inspire them, what would be the one thing maybe you would leave?
Oh, that's a tough question.
You can leave two things. You can leave two things.
Oh, sure, I can't go on.
Go ahead, leave three things.
I don't know, like, I think, what you were talking about, like, with energy, like, at the fundamentals of it all, like, a friend was telling me, they keep giving her different diagnoses, and are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Did I freeze?
Okay, cool. I just can't see you. Oh, yeah, so they keep giving her different diagnoses, and I'm like, well, really, like, it doesn't really matter the diagnosis or the name that they give you, like, or what symptoms they tell you you're going to have. Like, if they tell you you're going to have those symptoms, you probably will, because your mind's going to create them. Like, that happens to me all the time. I thought I had COVID the other day. I had all the symptoms. I didn't. Someone next to me had it. And
anybody can create COVID if they want. We're that powerful.
I know. Yeah, I literally had trouble breathing. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? But no, like, the thing is, so like, it's all under the same umbrella. Like, if there's disharmony in your energy, you're out of alignment, something's going on there because of your past or a trauma or stress or whatever it is, probably a combination. It's going to come out physically in your body in all different ways. And that's what it does. In just different ways, it comes out physically, trying to get your attention. And, it usually goes after the things you love. I came across this mechanic and this guy who's a butcher, and what did the pain go after? It went after their hands, because that's what they love working with. Sometimes it'll try to strike where there's an area of weakness or doubt, and that's just what pain is like. And once you start to understand it and have more knowledge and do your own research into it, like, it's very empowering, and it's really part of the healing journey. They say that knowledge is the greatest power when it comes to pain and chronic conditions. So that's probably what I want to leave with. I can't see your face because it's all disappeared. But
anyway, but I'm here. But Dr. Tenille, can you hear me, Dr. Tenille? You are a healing doctor. You are a healing force. You are a force to be dealt with. And I have a motto, and I change it on my website, and I change it on my email. I mean, you're the doctor and you're the therapist. And Rose and I are these wonderful messengers that just come by and drop this pixie dust on you and say, go do it. Don't waste any time, or wait till you're ready. There's no rush, And so, Dr. Tenille, bless your heart. Bless your big, beautiful heart with that beautiful blonde hair and that beautiful shining, and your cheeks are shining. And so we'll see you again. I know Rose will enjoy this, and we'll come back with Rose, and then Rose can do her magic with you on the show. And I know you're continuing to see Rose. And look, not everybody needs a therapeutic process, but it's helping you. And for lots of people, it's helping. And I know that you don't see Rose every week because, there's interdependence, and you're on your own, and you're growing up as we speak, and like, I like to say this, and as we speak, you're reparenting your little child, which is another whole concept of love and compassion, the biology of love, the science of compassion. And so you have just put that in this last hour, and I'm very excited for us to continue to watch your YouTube, and I'm wishing you the best of luck, and just keep in touch with us.
Definitely. Definitely. I look forward to continuing, to share more about this in future with, both you and Rose. And it's been such an honor, and I'm so grateful and thankful for this opportunity. And so much peace and love for you too.
Wonderful. Mwah. All the best.
Thank you so much.